Hello, everybody. Good evening, good afternoon, good night, good morning. God. Welcome back to Recipe for Crazy. It's Alanna Noel. It is a Friday morning at 6 a.m. Have I slept? No. One of the side effects of getting off SSRIs. However, I don't think it's that because I'm several weeks off at this point. I think it's the fact that I drank a lot of coffee yesterday because I am single-handedly packing up my mother's home. Probably shouldn't have said that. A lot of things I probably should have said. We're going to talk about a lot today. This is actually a very fucking exciting episode. I'm so excited about this episode. We have a lot to discuss. We're going to talk about my last episode with The Bachelor, how I feel now. We are going to talk about whatever the fuck else. Most importantly, I'm going to give you a full rundown of every encounter I've had with a man since I've been in Florida, because I feel like there's a lot that has not been said that needs to be clarified. I've told a lot of stories and it's time we get to the bottom of it. Let's actually get into it, baby. But first, what's on the forefront of my mind? Couple things. Number one, therapy. Why is therapy so important? I'm going to tell you. Therapy is so important, actually, for reasons that you don't know until you do it. And I'm telling you this for a reason, because I started going to therapy consistently for the first time a couple years ago. Prior to that, I had only gone to a therapist in a state of dire need. 2 other times, both because men were driving me to the brink of insanity, is why I actually went. First time I went to a man, I must have been in my early 20s. I chose him because he was like a comedian / therapist in Florida, in like Delray Beach, Florida. Maybe I was like 18. It was when I was dating my high school freaking physics teacher. Okay. And I don't know, there was an issue that arose and I called this therapist and I went, and he was a fucking whack job. So I went there, I vented to him. Bye. Several years later, I found weird messages on my boyfriend's Facebook. And when I confronted him about it, he said that I never saw it. That's not true. And then when I saw him next in person, he pulled up his Facebook and was like, "What do you mean? I never didn't happen on Facebook." Gaslighting wasn't really trending then, so I didn't really realize that's what he was doing to me, but that's exactly what was happening in that moment. Like, I literally saw the messages, and now you're sitting across from me, looking me dead in the eye and telling me that never happened. Fucking fuckers. He really was ahead of his time with the gaslighting. So I went to a therapist and I was like, I don't know what to do. I saw the messages, but he said it didn't happen. And I don't know what. It's like, am I going crazy? Blah, blah, blah. And she gave me this like whole thing. It was like this 60-year-old woman. I felt completely judged by her. Here I am, this 20-year-old with bouncy titties coming in saying she saw weird messages on her boyfriend's Facebook. How pathetic. That's how she made me feel. So I was kind of turned off by therapy for a long time. And it wasn't until a few years ago I started going again. And I found somebody. They're not a psychiatrist, but they do have a doctorate, which was important to me. I didn't just want some regular everyday certification counselor. I wanted somebody who really like invested some money into their education. So anyways, I started going to this person and they had me do this exercise where I'm hesitant to say it was a man because I strongly believe I should be going to a female therapist. I'm almost embarrassed to say that I've been seeing a male therapist. I think a woman should see another woman, because how can a man possibly even begin to understand the inner workings of a woman's mind? However, I'll be totally transparent in this moment and tell you that I started going to him because he also specializes in holistic types of therapy. At the time when I started going to him, I had an interest in ketamine therapy. I never did it. I got too scared and I chickened out, but I still continued to see him because he was actually really helping me. He also believed in psychedelics as an alternative to antidepressants. For a moment, I dabbled in psychedelics as a form of antidepressants, where essentially you take a microdose every like 3 days. You don't get high. It's kind of like this very subtle euphoric feeling. We can expand on that another time if you guys are interested in that. Anywho, but I did continue to see him, and he had me do this exercise where basically I had to create like subdivisions of my life, like starting from 0 to 5, 5 to 10, 10 to 15, 15 to 20, and so on. And within those groups, I was to list impactful moments in my life, like positive and negative, like 5 to 10 for each bracket. And each session, we would go into a bracket starting with 0 to 5. And the next week, it was like 5 to 10. Time goes on. We're going through this. And I was raised by wolves, to be quite honest. But my parents both have their own afflictions. And the point is, what I uncovered in therapy is that my mom and dad actually were not the biggest problem in my childhood. There were elements of abuse, emotional and otherwise, but mostly it was somebody else. And that is what I uncovered. And it was unbelievable and shocking because I never thought that this person was the one who did so much damage to me. And I say all this because if you are a person who had a difficult childhood, sometimes it's not always as obvious what really was the biggest issue. Divorced parents, single mom, all that on paper, it sounds very obvious what it is for me, but that's not at all what the problem was for me growing up. And it wasn't until a long time in therapy that I realized what it was. And I started seeing my therapist again, that same therapist, like a few months ago, and talking to him about all the things that are going on and talking to him about getting off my Lexapro, which he encouraged me to do. And I'm back here and he knows obviously everything. And we're going through all this stuff and it's just, I wish I could talk about it more, but unfortunately, I mean, it's not unfortunate. I can't really discuss the details of the abuse that took place in my life as a child and continue to today because would be putting myself in a very dangerous situation if I talked about it publicly. So I can't, but yeah, who knows? So that's that. Therapy is important, people. So I went to California a few weeks ago, 3 or so weeks ago for a TikTok event, which I talked about in my last episode. And while I was there, I ran out of Lexapro and I didn't get a refill. I basically went cold turkey and I was really scared because, you know, all the horror stories, and there's been a few times where I accidentally didn't take them for a few days and I got not really sick, but I got kind of sick and I was getting brain zapped. So I was really concerned about what was going to happen. And I did feel off that week. I was like really down, tired, antisocial, didn't want to see anybody. A few days after I got back to Florida, after I finally got sleep, because what happens is you get insomnia, I did end up taking like 1 or 2 sporadically, like during that week. So I didn't taper off, but I didn't 100% go cold turkey. I took like 1 or 2 when I felt the symptoms getting really bad. After about like a week and a half, I started feeling like myself again. It's so weird because for me, and everyone's experience is so different with antidepressants, but for me, prior to starting them, so I have depression. And who the fuck doesn't? I mean, everyone's fucking depressed. It's a sad world out there, okay? But I have always had depression since as long as I can remember, since being 6 years old, laying on a shag carpet and looking up at glow-in-the-dark stars in the ceiling and wondering what happens when I die. Like, I have always been in an existential crisis since as long as I can remember. For as long as I can remember. I can't think of a time when I haven't been. But that is something I like about myself. I like having those thoughts. Where it became a problem for me about 1.5 years ago, when all these things happened at the same time. My mom's terminal diagnosis, everything that happened with my ex-boyfriend, the career change, something I haven't talked about on this podcast, but I'll say it right now. And if I have, I don't remember. But when I was finding out all this stuff about my ex-boyfriend, I was pregnant. It was August. That week, prior to finding out the things I uncovered about his past, I was grappling with how I'm going to tell him, because at that point I was going to keep the baby because I was 33 years old. And for me, I don't really care if I'm married. I mean, I just feel like I'm too old to have an abortion. I don't want to damage my body and risk not ever being able to have the chance to have kids. So I was going to keep it and raise it myself. Nothing in my mind was like it would be with him. And I was figuring out how I was going to tell him this. At the time, we were living together and seeing each other in secret. There was no future in store for us at that point. So when I uncovered all that stuff, there was no way in my mind that I could keep that baby, because I was looking at a lifetime of pain, not just for me, but for the child and for everybody. I did not want to be attached to this person forever. It was like making a deal with the devil, is how it felt. I went to Planned Parenthood, and, it was very early on, so I didn't have to do the extreme one. It was the simpler one. If you know, and you have to take the pills. So that's what I did. And so that was happening. And I was literally on suicide watch during that time from like June through August. It was horrible. So I got on antidepressants because I had no other choice. I was so fucking scared to start taking them. I went to my friend's house and slept over for a few nights. The first night I took the SSRI, I was like, I feel like I'm on MDMA. And he's like, what are you talking about? He's like, I'm fucking on them too. That's not how you feel. I'm like, I'm telling you I am. Like, I'm scared to take a fucking Tylenol. So this was like a huge deal for me. So anyways, it was very circumstantial, the reason I started taking them. And, now it's been a year and a half. I've completely, as much as one can, I have processed what happened with my relationship and all those things. Obviously, I'm still grieving my mother. I'll always be grieving my mother. That's never going to stop. It's horrible. It's really fucking sad. But I started taking the SSRIs. I started at 10 milligrams. And after like 4 or 5 months, I moved up to 20 because I really wanted to feel the full effects of it. Like, what is this like? And really what it was for me is I felt like almost like I was on mute. I wasn't overanalyzing as much as I normally would. I wasn't questioning things as much as I normally would. My highs never got that high and my lows never got that low. So now, over the past week or so, I haven't really felt a low yet. I know it's eventually going to come, but so far I've only felt high highs and like just, regularness, I guess. There's been like an equilibrium here. So anyways, I'm off the SSRIs. I'm feeling good. Can I just ask a question? How many friends does Tyler Cameron fucking have in Palm Beach County? It's ridiculous. Okay. I went on a date recently, and this is the second guy that told me he's friends with Tyler Cameron. The way it came up was, I just have to say this up front because it's just so fucking mind-boggling that how this can happen and how The Bachelor just follows me wherever the fuck I go, as much as I try to get away from it. But I tell him what I do. I'm a content creator. I used to work in television as a producer. What was the last show you worked on? Oh, The Bachelor. Oh, one of my friends was on the show. One of my really good friends. I was just texting him before, because I was like an hour late. I was just texting him saying this girl's like 45 minutes late. I was like, oh, who? Tyler Cameron. I'm like, motherfucker. Okay. The second he told me he's friends with him, I knew this would be the last time I ever saw this dude. This is one take Drake. There's no future with this dude. All it takes is one fucking Google search. All it takes is him saying, hey, Tyler, do you know about this girl? Can you ask around about this girl? Good God. Good God, people. Oh, her. Oh, yeah. The crazy bitch who outed Blake Horseman for being on Riot, who fucking went insane on Instagram and is fucking plastered all over Reddit for being a psycho ass crazy bitch. Oh, that girl. Oh, yeah, dude. You're going to want to take several steps back, man. I knew it was over. I was like, you know what? Might as well enjoy the evening. Because this is over before it started. There's no longevity with this man right here. And no. Oh my God, it's tragic. Oh my God, this is just fucking tragic. Anyways, last week's episode. Okay. Serene, Russell, Brandon Jones from Bachelor in Paradise, engagement, their connection to me, my relationship, all that shit I went through last week. In retrospect, which is where I live in retrospect. I own the fucking block. Okay. My life is lived in retrospect. Why? Because I act based on emotion. That is how I live my life. It's not a great way to live. I don't choose to do it. It's part of me. I realized this about myself through actually content creating and podcasting and all the events that have transpired since this ordeal has started. I am a type of person who reacts. I'm a reactor. Okay. Now that I've said that, in retrospect, thinking about last week's episode, do I think Serene Russell is a trash human? I think that's what I said. No, I don't. I kind of feel bad for saying that. A little bit. I was angry, you know. Would I do what she did? No. Have I done shitty things? Absolutely. I'm not a great person. Not at all. Not even close. But yeah, I think that Serene and Brandon were in a shitty relationship. Here's the thing about those two. Before Paradise, the public was pushing for those two to be together. Okay. Everyone was standing them on social media. I think, and this is my opinion. This isn't based on anything else other than my opinion. My opinion from a person being on the inside is that those two had this pressure to be together. I think that there is an appeal to wanting to please an audience, and there's an excitement about all these people believing you're meant to be with this person. So I think they were pushed together, not by the show, but by the public to form a relationship with each other. And so they did. However, I think if those two were to meet at a bar and have a conversation, I don't think it ever would go that far. I don't think they would have liked each other, but there was this like pressure to date. And so they did. And they stayed together for longer than they should have because of the pressures of social media and what people would think and all the comments and everything and wanting to appease the audience and whatever. And so they were in a shitty relationship. They probably both did wrong. I wasn't fucking in the relationship. I don't know what's real or not. Only those two know. And the reason I even bring it up now is because I saw Serene on Susie Evans' Instagram story like last week or something. And I was like, oh God, is she going to go on fucking Susie's podcast? And God knows what she's going to say. I don't know. If I was Serene, number one, I would completely ignore me. Anything I said, I wouldn't even address it because God forbid you provoke me. As I said, I live in retrospect. I operate based off emotion. She says something about me. I react. All of a sudden I'm posting all the screenshots. You know, that's what I do. I can't help it. I'm crazy. What do you expect from me? I don't know. So anyways, God forbid, I just want it to be over. And if she did go on Susie's podcast, I just pray to God that she just addressed all this stuff with Brandon and I don't have to be involved. I probably shouldn't even have said anything last week, but you know, I'm messy. I say things. I can't control myself. I'm a fucking dog without a leash running around these streets. I'm a pit bull. She's got to get put down. Someone's got to control this bitch. She's out of control. Oh my God. She's out of control. While we're on the subject, a question I get asked a lot, are you scared of being sued? Yeah, I'm always scared of being sued by everybody, not just the show, everybody on the planet. I'm always scared of being sued. But here's the thing. I've never said a lie. And if the show ever did come for me and try to sue me, as I said before, I operate based on emotion. Listen, I have nothing else to lose in this life at all. Okay. My mom died. My dad's dead. I have a fucking crazy ass family. I'm dancing on the spectrum to the beat of my own drum. Okay. There's a screw loose here. I don't care about money. You want to come for me and sue me for however much money? I don't even fucking care. I'm not fazed. I'll live on the streets if I have to speak my truth. And that's scary. That's fucking scary when you got a bitch that has nothing to lose and doesn't give a fuck. Because I don't. And listen, I've gone easy on them this whole time. I think I've been fairly nice. I've held back quite a lot. Quite a lot. I don't know how much more I could possibly be tortured at this point. Isn't it enough that the man I lived with is an alleged rapist, slept with everyone we worked with, and my mom died? Like, how much more can one possibly be tortured for taking employment on The Bachelor? I think I've had my fair share. Okay. Listen, does The Bachelor employ soulless individuals who are paid to manipulate and convince people to do things? Yeah, but so is every other fucking reality show. That's the job. Okay. It's not just The Bachelor. I mean, come on. Get fucking real. For instance, I'm going to tell you a quick story. Allow me to indulge you for a moment. There is a show. I won't say the name of the show, but it was a very big and emotional documentary. Huge one. Okay. I did not work on this show. Someone very close to me was working on this show. Someone I was very intimate with. And a part of being a producer is convincing people to do things, like convincing them to be on a show when they don't want to be on a show. They don't want to go on a show and talk about all their trauma and past. So this person was tasked with trying to convince this woman who has gone through a lot in her life. Literally, people murdered, family members murdered, traumatizing shit, I'm telling you here. And he was tasked with trying to convince her to get on this show. So he did all the things, like it was empathetic and sensitive and said all the right things and finally got her to agree. So he goes to email his boss and he says, I finally got this fucking bitch to agree. He accidentally sent it to the woman. She still ended up doing the show. He somehow got out of it. But point is, these people don't care about you. Okay? It's very rare. I never even wanted to be in reality TV or anything like that. But that is the problem for me with reality and documentary television producing is you're actually dealing with real people and their real life and their real emotions. And you're having to manipulate it and create a storyline around it. And the thing is, you're doing the same thing with a movie or a scripted show, but it's not a real story. These are actors. It's so fucking different. And not to say there aren't producers out there who do genuinely care and they are invested in all those things. But it's rare. It's rare. It's rare. Dollars and cents here. It's a business. Okay. It's a business. I'm sorry. It is what it is. It is what it is. So anyways, that being said, I've admitted to my faults. I've admitted to my wrongdoings. I was paid to be a terrible person on multiple occasions. Whatever. I did it. It's over. How much more do I need to be tortured? Okay. Like, I don't know. Leave me out of it because I will react. I'm crazy. What do you guys want from me? And it's no longer just a show I worked on anymore. It's a show that came in and ruined my damn life. And they damn well knew they were doing it. And they knew the whole fucking time what was going on. And they didn't give a fuck. They did warn me not to get involved with that guy. But, you know, I don't think with my mind. I think with my vagina. So that's what I did. We're getting into it. So a few weeks ago, I started recording this episode while I was in California. And I started doing what I call the Florida Diaries, where I get into every man that I have encountered since I've been in Florida, all the people you've heard me tell stories about. As I was getting into it, my friend Claire, one of my best friends in the entire fucking world, was there. I might interject some of our commentary within this because it was funny and entertaining. However, I was very tired. I was coming off of Lexapro, so I didn't really have put my full pussy into it like I'm going to do right now. But there were some good moments, so I might. Oh God. Okay. So anyways, this is what we're going to get into. So I've told many stories on my Instagram, obviously. And, you know, I hop around with who I'm talking about. And I'm going to set the record straight. Who's who and what? A question I get asked all the time is, what do I tell these men about my Instagram? Do they know stories are being told about them? What are they aware of? Every single guy is different. I'm learning as I go. As you know, I always keep them anonymous. The only time anyone has ever been featured, and it was never their identity, was one specific person who I was dating semi-seriously for a mo, and he had a hand debut. And I also cooked at his house. So we're going to get into all that. Okay, so let's start from the beginning.
In a world where one girl is forced to date men in the state of Florida, we bring you the Florida Diaries.
These are the Florida Diaries. I'm going to tell you about my first date. Are you ready?
I am. I'm actually a little nervous.
So I meet up with this guy. We talked on Hinge. I meet him at a bar. He's like a couple years younger. He's a boat captain. He gets there, literally has the charisma of drywall. Nothing to him.
Right.
So boring. 5 minutes in, I was so miserable, but I was like, you know what? This is like the first time I've showered in months and put makeup on. I should like put on a show.
Right.
I'm going to dance like a monkey.
This is your re-emerging into society.
Yes, I'm just going to perform. I'm just going to have a good time. So I started performing. I started dancing like a monkey, and suddenly we're having the best time laughing, all because of me. He has no...
You take the credit. This is all on you.
This is full credit to me.
Any shared was because of your effort.
Literally, it was like he had too much sun exposure, no brain cells, done. Anyways, I was like, you know, we should go to the beach after we had a few drinks.
You were putting on a show.
I was definitely putting on a show, and I was like, I should probably make out. I want to make out. Why not? Let's make out. So I said, let's go to the beach. This is the first of many times I invited men to the beach. I'm just going to tell you right now.
Oh.
I'm surprised I'm alive.
Oh, that's not like you.
I know. You know what it is about Florida? There's nothing to do. And in my mind, I'm like, I don't know if these guys are broke. I can't afford to keep going to venues and take the risk that I'm going to have to buy a drink. So let's go to the beach because it's free. There's nobody there. We can kiss. But also I could get murdered.
Right. Like you're risking it all a little bit.
A lot of it. I am.
Okay,
So we go to the beach. We're laying on the sand. We're looking up at the stars. We're having a deep conversation. I end up fucking trauma dumping on this man. I tell him everything. I tell him all about my ex-boyfriend, all about the things that happened, the drugs, the findings, and everything. And he's quiet for a while. I'm thinking, okay, he thinks I'm fucking crazy. I ask him, what are you thinking? And he says,
it's just like really makes me think about everything that I've done in my life with women and in college. And, you know, it's making me think about all the mistakes I've made.
It was in this moment I realized that I am on an empty beach in the middle of the night with a man who is finding my ex-boyfriend's rape allegations relatable. It was like we both knew in that moment. I knew what he was saying. I was picking up what he was putting down. It was very uncomfortable. We already made out at this point. It was fine. But I realized, okay, this guy has a troubled past. He has a tainted past. There's no way this guy didn't roofie some girls in college. It's actually very disgusting. I need to get the fuck out of here. And
how does a man get quiet and be like, oh, that's what sexual assault is? Upon reflection, I too might need to repent. No!
Yeah. So it was immediately known. It was like it hit him. And I realized in that moment, number one, I shouldn't be talking about this. Number two, I don't know him.
And you could be opening up this door with this man, this villain.
And he knew it and I knew it. And he literally said that this is making him think about things he had done. It was weird. So I was like, okay, bye. So that was that. So the next weekend I go on another date. My lesson from the last one was I need to FaceTime these people before I meet them, because if I would have FaceTimed this dude, I would have never gone on a date with him because I would have seen there was nothing to his personality. Right. He was not unattractive. It was just his personality that was so boring.
Hang or not.
Yeah. So we FaceTime. There was a bit of a vibe.
A spark.
Tiny. A match. A flicker.
Okay.
Nothing much. But enough for a date. And he did drop a little bit of sex talk. Like he talked about how he liked to dominate, which was a huge red flag. But you have to remember, in my mind at this time, I didn't think there was much to offer in Florida. And I'm like, maybe this is the best I'm going to get. And I'm just going to have to go out with this guy.
Can't be choosers.
Beggars can't be choosers. And I'm just going to have to go out with this sick BDSM freak. I shut it down and he didn't keep going. He didn't press. It wasn't like too much, but it was just enough.
What's enough? I would like to know what's...
He just said he's like very dominant in bed. Pretty much is what he told me on the FaceTime. If I'm being honest with you.
On FaceTime?
Yeah,
Said that? He
he
looked
did.
you in the eye
Look
on FaceTime.
dead in the eye.
FaceTime and was like, hey, I'd like to dominate you. Okay, men need to be...
Silenced.
Agreed. They need to go back to learn social skills. Maybe he learned like you did and was like, I need to lay the groundwork early. Maybe he was like, I need to find out if this woman
Is down for the shits.
Okay, so maybe I can respect it, but wild.
Yeah, because maybe he was with a girl who wanted to tie him up. And he was like, you know what? I want to make sure she's the one that wants to be tied. And you know what? I do want to get tied. I do. I'm going to be honest with you. Although it was a red flag that he said it so quick, I was not against what he was trying to do. I was picking up what he was putting down. And I was on the same page. So we go on the date. He picks me up.
Give him your address?
I don't have a car.
Oh, I know where that car is. You're right. Okay.
Yeah. I don't know how else I'm going to get there.
Okay. So Mr. BDSM shows up, knight in shining armor, picks you up.
Here's another thing I'm going to add. What I tell these guys about my Instagram. With this man in particular, I had told him that I have an Instagram and I only give it to people after I meet them. So he had not seen my Instagram, but he knew I had
a media presence.
And we left it at that. So I'm not going to get into the scheme because there's too many guys. We'll be here all day. But there was a little scheme we did to try to get him to come to the door. He didn't come. And I was like, this is beta bitch energy. And I'm not going to play these little games and sit here for 10 minutes and wait for him to come to the door. I'm just going to go out there. Whatever it is, what it is. He doesn't even open the door for me. I'm sorry, but I want a gentleman. I want you to know this guy's 6'4". But I get in the car and it was like he was an inch tall. Not literally.
The energy?
The energy. Obviously, my hair was done. My makeup was done. I was looking good. You've seen me in my full Monty.
Mm-hmm. The transformation.
I completed metamorphosis.
Yeah.
I emerged from my cocoon.
Right.
And I was a butterfly flapping my wings in his car. I might have intimidated him and he became a shell of a man. He didn't know what to do with himself. I mean, he's not ugly, but I don't think he's ever...
Hasn't had a piece of this.
There was a lot of women that got into his car and I don't think he had experienced that level of womanhood. I immediately was turned off because I like people with confidence, but I was like, whatever, I'm here.
This is BDSM?
This is BDSM. You know what it is? I think BDSM people are timid snails on the streets and freak in the sheets. The story gets crazier. He takes me to a taco stand. We're sitting there. He starts getting into this whole spiel about existentialism. Nothing is real. We live in a simulation. I've accepted the truth of reality.
People in Florida still doing bath salts?
And this guy's sober.
Oh my God.
I know. I was like, okay, this guy's literally killing me. I wanted to go. But of course, what do I do instead?
You got a free meal.
I said, let's go to the beach.
No!
I beached him. I beached him.
Again.
I don't know why. I was like, I guess I'll just make out with him and see how I feel.
You're keeping the ball rolling. Oh my God. The responsibility's on you. So you suggest the beach.
That was me. With the guy who wants to tie me up, I said, let's go to the beach.
Right.
I'm really going to give you an opportunity here.
Right.
On the way to the beach, he gets a phone call from his boss. He's like, I got to take this. He picks up the phone. The phone is loud enough that I can hear the boss. He starts getting chewed out by his boss, like literally ripped apart. The boss is saying to him, you fucked up. Are you a fucking idiot?
No.
I'm like, this man already barely feels like a man.
He's
now
turning the volume down slowly, but he's like tapping down on the iPhone.
He doesn't know I can hear. He wasn't even doing that.
He's just going, thinking you can't hear.
Any shrivel of manhood that he had left,
Chewed up.
gone. He gets off the phone. He's like, oh, I got to go to the office. So my immediate thought is, great. Even if this is a ruse, that like he had his friend call, like if the date's bad, I can get out of it. I was like, this is great. I don't care if this is real or fake. I get to go home. I'm done. I suggested the beach out of pity. I don't know why. It's like, what's wrong with me? I want to give them their money's worth, I guess.
Right. They need the full experience. You're trying to treat them to a good time as well. You have a standard to uphold.
No, this is my thing. I want my 5-star Yelp review.
Right.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
I want to leave this date with them in love with me, even though I know I don't like them.
Right.
It's like this weird ego thing. I want my 5 stars.
I totally get that.
I want my high
The
Uber
beach
rating.
is where you can achieve that.
That the beach is where I thrive.
Okay.
Cheaply, conveniently. There's always good moonlight.
Hack, ladies.
This is to get your 5-star review. Okay. Then he says, I'm so sorry. We got to go to the office. Me, and you, we're both going. He takes me to his office. It's an insurance company, but it looks like an FBI agency because there's 100 cameras on the ceiling. I don't understand. Lights are out. He fucked something up with the payroll, so we had to go take care of it. He takes me with him. I'm sitting in an office chair, spinning around in an empty, dark room, texting my cousin, get me the fuck out of here. This is insane that this is happening right now. We're there for what feels like 20 hours. It was maybe 15 minutes, but it felt like forever. We leave. We go to the beach. I hate him at this point.
To the beach still.
I still go to the beach.
Okay. Yeah, the review is still lingering. I got it.
When we get to the beach, he goes on to say, because you know the scene from The Notebook. They're frolicking on the beach. If I'm a bird, you're a bird. Who doesn't know that? Okay. This man turns to me and he says, what is it you bitches say about The Notebook? If I'm a bird or whatever. First of all, I hate old people. So The Notebook is obviously a trigger for me. I'll never forget when I saw The Notebook. I went to the theater with my mom and my friend. We're sitting there, we're watching it. And every time the old people came on the screen, I was triggered. I hated it. I wanted to get out of there. I don't know about the fucking Notebook. Okay. I actually went on and watched it after this date because I felt like as a woman, I probably should need to know because clearly men are expecting women to be the authority on the movie The Notebook. So clearly I need to be up to date. I need to be informed about things apparently I'm supposed to know about because I am the sole proprietor of a vagina. God. Anyways, that offended me. I don't know. Apparently, as a woman, I'm supposed to be able to help men out with any questions they might have about the film. So, as I mentioned earlier, on the FaceTime, this man informed me of his bedroom preferences. Okay. He's a dominatrix or whatever the fuck you call it. I don't know what the hell. He likes to tie people up and shit. Okay. You mentioned this briefly on the phone. I shut it down. We're sitting on the beach. We kiss. The man starts choking me. I'm not even kidding. Not even like a playful hand around the throat. There was like some force. And I'm like, okay, now this is the second time I've brought a psychopath to the beach. Am I about to be sex trafficked? Because I don't have a dad. There's no Liam Neeson coming to Europe to save me. Okay. I'm fucked. And I tell him, listen, dude, I'm not a person that likes to get slapped around. If that's what tickles your pickle and I'm in love with you, I'm open-minded. Okay. However, first date, choking on the beach. Choking is something you have to work up to.
You're a stranger, my dude, putting your hands on my throat.
Like you know me.
Yeah, like you know me, like you know me.
That's very intimate for a first kiss, hand on the throat.
That's like a Dateline thing to me.
It was very Dateline. I'm risky. I don't like to jump out of airplanes. I like to take strange men to the beach. That's how I feel alive. So I survive. Obviously, this is a terrible date. I don't see how he doesn't see that.
Right.
I mean, I couldn't have been giving more signals that this wasn't going good. He asked me if I want to come back to his 2-bedroom apartment that he shares with a roommate. Are you fucking kidding me? No, I literally started laughing in the car. I was laughing at the idea. I was like, no, you're bringing me home, sir. Take me home. Check, please. It's over. He brings me home. I really didn't think I was ever going to hear from this man again. I thought it was done. And lo and behold, he texts me the next day. I was nice enough to text him back. We're chatting back and forth. Eventually, I start thinking, my mind starts going, as it does. And I realize this is a very good story. And I should probably tell this on my Instagram. And so I did. And I set the tune to baking a copycat recipe of blondies from Applebee's. And that was that. C'est la vie. I blocked him on everything before I posted it, blocked his phone number, ghosted his ass. Honestly, I do feel a little bad for doing that. However, he did attempt to kill me on the beach. I don't know. So maybe it was attempted murder, that date. So, it is what it is. So that was that. Okay. So obviously my first 2 dates were traumatizing. I was reluctant to date again. I thought this was the best it was going to be in the state of Florida. I ended up matching with this guy. We start texting a lot and I tell him about that story. He tells me his stories. He asks me what I do. I tell him, but I say, listen, I don't want you to Google me. I don't want you to search me. I want you to meet me in person and see who I am for yourself. I don't want you to form any opinions on me based on what you find online. He picks me up for the date. He gets out and opens the car door. Immediately when I see him, I know it's on, baby. It's on like Donkey Kong. This is a guy I can be around. I knew instantly. He takes me to go get sushi. As soon as we sit down, he's like, I need to know. I need to see your Instagram page right now. I was like, oh my God. Okay. I really built it up with this guy. I built it up big time. Because listen, if you Google my name, fucking all this shit on Reddit pops up about me being clinically insane. Okay. Like, I'm not. I'm just a little insane, not clinically, just like in the fun way. So anyways, maybe not so fun for some people, but I don't know. Anyways, so I ended up showing him some videos, some PG stuff. Okay, nothing crazy. I didn't show him any of the dating stuff. I showed him just like, video is not about dating. He's like, oh, that's not so bad. I'm like, oh, okay. I like him. He's goofy. He's tall. He's good looking. I don't know. He's like a cuddly bear that could kill you. Like 6'3", muscular as fuck. After we eat, we get into his car and I felt really comfortable with him. With the last guy, obviously didn't tell him anything deep or serious. So we're sitting in the car, we're sitting in his truck, and he asked me, so if I were to Google you, what would pop up? And I said, the worst time of my life. Then I said, well, I would rather tell you than for you to read it or see it online. So I will just tell you. So I ended up telling him and he was quiet. They're always quiet after. And I say, what are you thinking right now? And he said, I'm thinking you really just need a hug. And then he hugged me and I had to like fight back tears. And if you've ever taken an SSRI, you know it's hard to cry. So I would not have been able to control them had I not been on antidepressants at that time. So, of course, what do? I beach him. I almost felt guilty about it, about bringing him to the beach because he felt different. Like I felt like this was different. This was something significant. I don't want to bring him to the beach, but I did. And we ended up hanging out a lot more after that. He was on my page. I really like this guy. I think actually the story with him deserves more time. And I'm really just talking about first dates here and what I've told them. But with him, I actually ruined that. That was me. I fucked that up big time. And he has a girlfriend now. And I probably shouldn't have been dating during that time. I was not over everything that just happened. My mom was about to die. There's a lot of mistakes that I made with him. And I ruined that. That was on me. So, but you know what's meant to be is meant to be. And last week I was talking about how I was crying in the chair when I was getting my hair done. And the reason why I was crying was because of him. And the reason is because a guy who I will talk about soon has been trying to get back in my life. And part of the reason I'm not interested in seeing him anymore is because of how he moved during the time my mom passed and how he wasn't supportive and things like that. And he's confused by like what he could have done. It's not very confusing, but, I was crying because I was thinking to myself, because I was talking to him on the phone before I got to the hairdresser, and I was thinking to myself, what could he have done? And then I was thinking about this guy and how I could have just used a hug. It's that simple. It's that simple. And this guy is like an avoidant. That's what he told me this. I didn't diagnose him as an avoidant. He told me this, sent me YouTube videos on how to learn about avoidance. Okay. And it's not really something I want to learn about because it's not a person I want to be with. And yeah, that's what he could have done in that moment. So anyways, that's why I was crying, because I was realized, oh, don't cry. But that was that. So that ended. I fucked that up big time. And the next person I went on a date with was a person I met from the dating app where I saw Blake Horseman that I can't say the name of. So that guy, he's a comedian, like a real comedian, not like trying to be comedian. And so with him, I felt very comfortable telling him exactly what I do, showing him my page, all those things. He was coming to Florida. He lives in LA. So we were talking before he came, FaceTiming, and there was a vibe. Okay, so he comes to Florida, this guy. And he's staying at a hotel in South Beach. I'm in Palm Beach County. That's an hour away. He's asking me to come to his hotel at like fucking 10 o'clock at night. I was like, dude, I'm not going to Miami at 10 o'clock at night. If you wanted to see me when you were here, you could have properly scheduled a date and given me enough notice and time to plan. And he's trying to convince me up and down to do this. And he's like, I'll call you an Uber, blah, blah, blah. Just come. Like nothing's going to happen. Just sleep over. We'll talk all night. No sex, nothing. I just want to hang out and talk. And I was like, fuck it. My life sucks. I'm taking care of my mom. I'm helping with my sister's kids. There's not a lot of excitement happening for me here. I might as well fucking go. Why not? So I go. And I wore the ugliest outfit you could possibly imagine. Like restricting pants, sweatshirt, anything to avoid sexual activity. And we do just end up talking all night. But God, this guy tried so hard to have sex every which way possible. Not in a disrespectful way. Not in any way I would say is inappropriate. In like the natural, normal ways men try to sleep with you. And it was comical. At one point, he told me, he goes, you sleep with your bra on? And I said, yeah, I'm fighting gravity here every single day of my life. And he goes, you know that wearing a bra to sleep causes breast cancer, right? And I was like, oh my God. So I like took off my bra the way you would do it in middle school so people don't see you naked in the locker room, where you like take it off and like you shimmy it off without, ever exposing a breast. That's what I did. Before the bra hit the ground, I realized that this man was full of shit. And I looked at him and I said, you're completely full of it right now, aren't you? And he started laughing. He goes, how'd you know? I'm like, I don't know why you would even know that information. Clearly he was lying. He just wanted me to take the bra off. And I was like, well, now especially you're not feeling a titty after that. Hell no. I didn't even kiss him. Swear to God. Hand on the Bible. Didn't even kiss him. We did cuddle, hang out in the bed all night, whatever. We woke up the next morning. He drove me home an hour away in his rental. We stopped and got coffee, lunch. It was a good time. Didn't see him again for the rest of the time he was there. I did end up seeing him when he came back to Florida next time. Still didn't sleep with the dude. Did actually kiss him that time. That's a whole other story. 2 videos on that dude. I talked about going to the hotel in the middle of the night in a video. And I told a story about the next time I saw him, when he's the guy who tried to Venmo me to give him a blowjob or have sex with him. Or if not that, what was it? That if I gave him a blowjob and it was good, he'd literally make me his girlfriend and have me move in with him. I think he's a comedian. He's probably joking when he says this. Like, I'm laughing as he says this. Okay. Do I think he actually would have Venmoed me $500 to give him a blowjob? 100%. I don't think that was a joke. I think he said it jokingly, but if I said yes, he would have absolutely done it. Would I take $500 to give someone a blowjob? No. I've been doing it for free my whole life. And actually that made me think, yeah, I've been doing blowjobs and having sex for free my entire life. Why shouldn't I take $500 to do it? The fuck? And then I learned from that Instagram post that actually $500 is a low rate. Actually, he literally was lowballing me, the fucker, in his joke. Anyways, that was that dude. He's a friend, honestly. I like him as a person. He's funny. There's nothing with that dude. And he doesn't even live here. Whatever. So after the comedian came Luke. Now, Luke has been a topic of my Instagram on many occasions. I've also made a YouTube video, a vlog, which I only did one of the episodes. There was way more to come, but there's a lot more to that story. This guy deserves his own episode. Okay, this is the guy who I was talking to on the way to the hairdresser, who has been trying to re-enter my life. So let me start from the beginning with him. Luke is how I've been referring to him. So this guy, we meet on the dating app. We start talking. The banter's solid. We make a date a couple days later. He calls me on the phone. Before the date, I end up telling him about my social media. I say, this is what it is. I give it to him, tell him about my podcast. He listens to it. He watches it. He likes it. He's into it. I was like tired at this point. I'm like, oh my God, it went well with the comedian when I told him about it. No one's had a problem with it thus far. Why not just fucking tell him? I'm fucking tired of this shit. Just here it is. Just you like me or don't. This is what my life is. I'm not changing, whatever. He was into it. Great. We meet at this place in Lake Worth Beach called like Benny's or something. Cute little bar. I walk in, I meet him. Immediately, I don't like the guy. He's got a few buttons too low on his shirt. He has got very divorcee dad energy. I wasn't really feeling him. all of a sudden the liquor started hitting. I don't know if it was the Tito's and soda or what, but all of a sudden I started liking the dude. I can't really explain it. There was something about him, his voice. I think he started loosening up. At first, he was maybe nervous. I don't know. But as the night progressed and as the liquor was hitting my bloodstream, I started feeling this dude. So this is not something I normally do, but I let him take me to dinner. Right after, it was just drinks. And he's like, oh, let's go get food. I was down. We went to some nice place down the street. We were having a great time. And I was starting to really like this guy, actually, for real. And I was surprised. Oddly enough, on our third date, or on our second or third date, he and I were frolicking around downtown West Palm Beach on Clematis Street. And I had not a care in the world. I was having the best time. I get home that night. I look at my phone. And something about me is when I really like someone, if it ends, or even if it doesn't end, when I really like somebody, I put their texts on mute because I don't like the feeling of waiting for a text from a man. I hate that feeling. And so after I break up with someone, it's the same thing. So with me and that guy who I was crying about in the chair, the hugger, we'll call him the hugger. When we were seeing each other, I didn't have his text on mute because we were dating. There was no reason for me to have him on mute, so I didn't. But after it ended, I put him on mute because I figured if he ever texts, it would probably change my mood for the day. And I don't like that feeling. So I had him on mute. So when I got home, I opened my text messages. He texts me. I read the text. He said, saw you out tonight. He's cute. It was nice to see you smiling. Oh, God, why does he have to be so sweet? And I fucked it up so bad. Whatever, that was that. So back to Luke. This is the guy who performed the loyalty test on me. Now, I talked about this. I didn't tell the full story in my Instagram because obviously I'm dealing with a lot with my mom. You know, there's been several things I've done on my page where I attempt to like start a series or do something. Then life takes over and I forget about it because I had all these things, external things going on with family, obviously. And that takes precedent over everything. So I don't know that I actually told the full extent of that story. And that story is fucking crazy. Okay, we're going to break here. Next week, we will come back with the rest of
The Florida Diaries.